Merry Meet. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are on our live stream and we are having a prosperity lesson today. And today I want to talk about the idea of the open mind. The open mind. So what we want is a mind that's open to prosperity. A mind that's open to prosperity. All right, so one thing that we need to recognize is that our conscious minds tend to focus on what is in front of us, what is being shown to us by our five senses. And so we tend to loop back again and again and again with what's already happening. And so to open our mind to the idea that there could be something different is a heroic act, because we have to go against what our five senses are reporting to us. And that's the crux of all magic, including prosperity magic, is the idea of being open to the possibility of a new result occurring, which is different from that which we are already experiencing. Now, that can be fine if it's something that's simple, but if it's something that we have a lot of desire attached to, a lot of anxiety especially attached to, and maybe even a lot of worry, such as with money, that can be quite the feat. And so let's help you with that. So the first thing we have to recognize is that all prosperity comes from a singular source. There's one force, one power, one source, one substance. And religion has done us a lot of disservice by creating images of a deity or deities separate and distinct from us, off in some heaven somewhere, doling out rewards and punishments, doling out rewards and punishments, and possibly even forgetting that we're here. We have an image of a capricious deity or pantheon of deities, depending on where we're coming from, that we have to somehow get that deity's attention and then maybe appease that deity, maybe beg that deity, maybe trick that deity, maybe make a deal with that deity so that we just can get our needs met or our desires met. Okay, and that's not how the universe works. That is not the truth. The truth is that there is one life. There is one life for all people, whether you're Christian, whether you're atheist, whether you're agnostic, whether you're a witch, whether you're a Buddhist, whether you're an anything, whether you're a Satanist, it doesn't matter. And this one life force gives life without prejudice. So when you breathe in, that oxygen is keeping you alive just the same way that it kept Jesus alive, that it kept Hitler alive, that it kept Mother Teresa alive, that it kept Mussolini alive. That life force does not have prejudice about who you are, what you're doing, what you've done, how you've come into being, any of that. It doesn't care about your storyline whatsoever. So that is the concept of unconditional life, unconditional love. So there is one supreme source that is the source of all good. Now, this supreme source is perfect. Perfect love, perfect substance, perfect intelligence, knows all, has no weakness, cannot be threatened, cannot be thwarted, has complete and utter compassion for you and love for you, does not want anything for you other than your happiness and joy. That's why you were created, is to have joy. And that somewhere along the line, we, as the child of this divinity, decided that we wanted to know what life was like being separate. And so we started to contemplate the idea of separation at some point in our existence, and that is known in the Christian or the Jewish Bible or the Hebrew Bible as the fall from grace, as the fall. It's not a falling, meaning that we're sinners and need punishment. It's a falling asleep to who we are. It's a falling asleep to the truth that we remain now as always, as we were created, as we are created in the moment, and we have all power over and dominion over every aspect of the physical world. And that our power and dominion comes from our mind, and that's how we were created. And up until now, we've been misusing the creative powers of our mind, contemplating evil, contemplating separation, contemplating darkness, contemplating trouble, contemplating everything that is now out picturing itself as the problems that we experience collectively as a race. I mean, as a human race, not as a race as far as African American versus white. As a human race, as a species, that's a better word, as a species, and also as individuals. So what our first goal is to understand that our prosperity is not something that we need to get. It's not something that we need to beg for. It's not something that we need to cajole after, and it's not something that we need to make a deal for. We don't need payment for it. You don't need to worry about putting the right food offerings on your altar for the ancestors. You don't need to worry about getting the spell exactly right. What you need to do is recognize that infinite intelligence created you perfect, and that infinite intelligence's will for you is happiness and success and all good, all prosperity. Everything that is not like that is simply a shadow of the truth. And you can look at a lecture I gave a few weeks ago about that. It's called the Occult Law of Substitution, talking about the difference between the shadow world and the real world. Okay, so having said all of that, now this is the reason why we need to understand all of that, is because now when we claim what we want, we recognize that we're not claiming it out of defiance to some capricious deity who wants to keep us down. We claim it because we are one with infinite intelligence's desire for us that we have all good in whatever forms are the most appropriate for us. So if we need $200 to pay a bill, that's our divine right. If we perceive a need in the world for money or for material good, that's our divine right, and that all we have to do is claim that right. We have to claim that abundance. We have to claim that prosperity, because we were created to have what we desire, what we need. All right? So that's the first thing we have to do, is open our minds to the idea, not that we have to go get something, but that we need to be able to open our minds that we are entitled to it. We are entitled to having the money that we need. We are entitled to have the righteous desires of our heart fulfilled. That's our right. That's our birthright. Does that make sense? So when a particular channel of income or wealth dries up for whatever reason, we have to remember that our wealth doesn't come from that channel. It comes through that channel. It doesn't come from that person. It comes through that person. That our wealth comes from that infinite and unassailable source, that source that can't dry up, that is like an eternal fountainhead of all good. Our source of prosperity comes from that. And it comes through different channels in this world, through companies, through jobs, through projects, through people. But it doesn't come from those projects, jobs, and people. And it's really important that we understand that, because then our mind gets open to the fact that it doesn't matter if a particular investment dries up. It doesn't matter if a job ends. It doesn't matter if a particular client leaves us and goes somewhere else, because our good does not come from those sources. It comes through those channels. And when those channels dry up, it means that there's better, more meaningful channels that are now opening. And if we can keep our minds focused on that, then we don't have the delays that are typical of for many people. When one thing ends, when one door closes, between that and the other door opening up, because in the mind of the infinite, one door closing is one door opening. There is no delay. There is no lack. There is no lag time. And so when we are noticing that our particular flow of prosperity may be ending in certain areas, it's up to us to keep our minds open to the fact that actually that's not the case. Our channel is changing. Our channel is changing, and we have every right to claim that the change is for our good. That there's a better, more appropriate channel opening for us, that's even more prosperous for us, that's even clearer to who we are and what we deserve as far as prosperity is concerned. Thinking in terms of who we are at all times, who we are and why we're here. Well, we are simply like a beam is to the sun, a sunbeam to the sun. Each one of us is that. Each one of us has all power at our disposal over every circumstance. We have to remind ourselves that. We have to remind ourselves that we are not the victims of money. We instead are eternal beings that are extensions of infinite light, that have all power in this world, and that power comes through us so that we can bless the world. And in so doing, in our blessing of the world, we have the right to having all of the material means necessary for us to do our work in this world in the best way possible. And that means that it's absolutely perfectly fine for us to have the money that we desire, to have the things that we desire, to have the beautiful environments that we desire while we are doing this work in the world. There's a difference between that and having a greed, right? We're not asking for egregious greed and the propagation of more and more addiction to materialism. That's not what we're asking for. We're asking for prosperity. That means that all our needs are met at every moment of time and point of space in the most opulent way possible. All our needs are met at every moment of time and point of space in the most opulent way possible. That's what we want to keep our minds open to. We are never without. We are never alone. We are never in a place where we have to be destitute or begging for a piece of bread, or begging for our rent money to be paid, or begging, for the clothes that we desire, or for the technology that we need. So that's up to us. We have got to dawn that opening in our mind and keep it focused on that we are divine children of the infinite, and as such we are extensions of the infinite, and we have all power and dominion over this world. And the only way that we can exercise that power and dominion over this world is by the disciplining and focusing of our minds. And that's what magic is, and that's what we're doing here. And so it's up to us each and every moment to keep our minds open to who we are and why we're here and what we deserve. And we deserve all prosperity. All right, well, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for being with me today. I cannot wait to work with you again. And until that time, blessed be.